What's going on, YouTube? It's Sensei and place to be chilling. Mr. A&D back to you guys another Raw review for October 26, 2020, which is the Raw after Hell in a Cell. And I'm thinking that now, since we are after Hell in a Cell, we're getting into Survivor Series. We're doing 30 years of The Undertaker, but does that necessarily mean that we're going to have, I don't know, a Raw vs. SmackDown Survivor Series? Of course we're going to have a Raw vs. SmackDown Survivor Series, because that's what WWE is about to do. And I'm just like, but you know what? Let's get on with it, because tonight there's going to be 3 different qualifying matches to determine who's going to be on the Red Brand. So we're not doing Raw vs. SmackDown vs. NXT like we did last year, but we're definitely going to be doing Raw, SmackDown, and Raw vs. SmackDown again. So, real quick, before we get into this, the problem with this is there's nothing on the line. Survivor Series is one of the big 4 or the big 5 if you add Money in the Bank now of the pay-per-views. But there is no... SummerSlam is the WrestleMania this summer. WrestleMania is the season ender right there. That's the granddaddy of them all. Royal Rumble is the Royal Rumble. You get the shot at to go to WrestleMania. Money in the Bank, you win a contract for the WWE Championship for over a year. What does Survivor Series do? Raw versus SmackDown for battle for brand supremacy. What, like, it's not like, you know, like if anybody watches baseball, it's that when you do the All-Star game, if the NL wins, they have home field advantage during the playoffs. Same thing if the AL wins, they have home field advantage during the playoffs. So I'm like, it gives you something to do, okay? And the Survivor Series, I'm like, there's nothing for us to do other than brand supremacy. Maybe you could be like, okay, if SmackDown ends up winning, then, you know what I'm saying, SmackDown gets the number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble for the men's and women's. Or if Raw wins, they get the number 30 spot in the Royal Rumble. You know what I'm saying? You got to be fighting for something other than just to say, we beat you last year, because nobody cares about that. Nobody truly cares. But anyway, Drew McIntyre comes out, started the show to talk about, you know, his loss to Randy Orton and what's next for him. I'm like, what's next? Get his title back, because Randy Orton had 4 different opportunities to get a championship opportunity from Drew McIntyre, which he lost 3 straight pay-per-view matches. The hell and some actually even happened, but whatever. Miz and Morrison come out and they throw in the face that, you know, he's a Money in the Bank, and then, you know, hopefully he doesn't have to wait another 19 years to get another WWE championship. And then Drew McIntyre here, he hit Buzz the Miz, and then Morrison tries to, you know, get an accent, be his friend, but then he just belly to Buzz the Miz. Like, the Miz don't want to take Morrison doesn't want to take all the bumps from McIntyre. So they hit him in his leg, and they kind of go off, and so that we're not done with them until, you know, we know that it's not over between them later on tonight. So we start with the first of the qualifying matches. We have Jeff Hardy taking on AJ Styles. AJ Styles is out there with that huge guy, Jordan Summer, I forgot this. It's just so massive to see how he just towers over AJ Styles. So AJ Styles goes against Jeff Hardy. A decent matchup back and forth, but it's nothing really exciting as it was, I guess, the first time I saw it. AJ wins with the phenomenal forearm to Jeff Hardy and advances to Team Raw, which I expected. And then after the matchup, Elias comes out and hits Jeff Hardy with the guitar. So we figured that, okay, now the Elias and Jeff Hardy thing is not done yet. R-Truth is backstage, and he's getting interviewed about defending the 24/7 championship last night, and he's talking about he's going to go out there and scout all the competition, including House Party, Gulak, and Tozawa, who are in a tag team matchup coming up. And I'm like, that is terrible. And I'm like, once again, this shows that there's no tag teams left in WWE, just like the women's. Like, everything is spread so thin now. Once says Vince blew everything up and nobody's being used or whatever the case may be. So, you know, it sucks. And I'm just like, so we go into a tag team matchup between Tozawa and Gulak versus Lucha House Party. What was the point of this tag team match in the first place? And then R-Truth comes out and everybody gets distracted trying to pin R-Truth for the championship, but yet nobody's getting disqualified. But yet we have had had tag team matches where people have getting disqualified for much less of, you know, even being in the ring for too long, or the wrong person is hitting the illegal person. I'm like, throw this match out. Everybody's going, and then once again, let's say the Rock goes for a crossbody, and R-Truth ducks it and gets on Drew Gulak. That's what causes the match to end. It was a big piece of shit. It didn't even need to happen at all. Firefly Funhouse segment, Alice in Wonderland theme where you have Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss there. Alexa Bliss gives arsenic to Ramblin' Rabbit, and then Ramblin' Rabbit it's a very graphic thing. He like vomits up this kind of like poison, everything like that, and then it's like he apparently dies, and he gets up and says he's all right, but then Bray kind of like kills him again. So it was like, okay, just kind of like it's basically what it was with Firefly Funhouse. I like Alexa Bliss with Bray Wyatt. I like the whole kind of like almost Harley Quinn type thing, but I don't know. I wasn't feeling her in this Firefly Fun. Like it seemed like everything was forced. If it didn't feel natural, like how Bray Wyatt presents himself in the Firefly Funhouse, it just feels like she was just trying too hard to be like crazy. You know, that's kind of how it felt. And I was like, it ain't clicking with me just yet at her in the Firefly Funhouse. To be honest with you, but you know, I think there's something she need to work on. But her and Bray Wyatt, I'm not mad at all. To be honest with you, it's time for the next qualifying matchup. Elias comes out because his new album comes out. He's gonna perform something on his new album, and then before we get to the matchup, Adam Pearce is backstage to let know that Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are the captains of Team Raw for the women's division, and then Nia Jax wants to be captain, and they kind of argue about that, and they're gonna find out who the team is later on. Elias taking on Keith Lee for Survivor Series qualifier, and the matchup is pretty much quick. You know, Keith Lee, is looking very pissed off, and then Jeff Hardy comes, and his music is playing that distracts Elias, and then Elias gets spirit bombed by Keith Lee. Keith Lee does not need a Jeff Hardy distraction to beat Elias, because people may not look at it. That people may look at his wins and losses and stuff like that. Keith Lee has not had a dominant win on the main roster since beating Randy Orton at Payback, which is a throwaway pay-per-view that came 1 week after SummerSlam, which nobody cared about. All the other stuff that Keith Lee had was either disqualifications or countouts or no contest, and he lost to Braun Strowman, but then did the Hogan kick out at 3, and then now he gets a distraction to beat Elias. Keith Lee don't need no distractions, but yet Jeff Hardy and AJ Styles got this big bodyguard, and then he didn't need him to beat Jeff Hardy, and I'm just like, why are we doing this to Keith Lee? That's how I feel. He's not buried. I'm not saying he's buried, nothing like that. I'm just saying that the way he's being booked, the way he's being built up, stuff like that. Like especially after what Keith Lee did in the Survivor Series last year, I really believe that this will be the guy that should be almost leading Team Raw in Survivor Series, because him and Roman Reigns had a great showdown last year at Survivor Series. I'm like, where the hell is that? You know what I'm saying? So after the matchup, Elias comes, Jeff Hardy hits Elias with the guitar, and then like I said, this rivalry is gonna keep on going. So, Orton is making his way back because he's gonna be on a Moment of Bliss later on tonight. I'm like, okay, we're still doing Moment of Bliss when we have crazy Alexa Bliss. All right. Well, now it's time for an 8-man tag team match, elimination match. The Survivor Series matchup that I thought he was going to try to build to if they wasn't going to do a Team Raw versus Team SmackDown. But I was obviously wrong. And it's going to be Retribution taking on the Hurt Business. So, every piece of Hurt Business doesn't run from anybody. And then he says, once we're done with this business proposition of Retribution, we're going on to our next thing, and we want to be paid, or Shelby said we want to be paid in gold. So, that means they're going after some championships now, which I'm liking now, and I still think the Hurt Business needs to add one more person, because I'm going to explain it to you in this matchup. Retribution is taking on, Hurt Business needs to add one more person. Retribution versus the Hurt Business, and at the beginning, MVP is in there with Slapjack, I believe it is, and then Mia Yim comes in there and she's having a seizure or gets distracted or having a rash, and she just starts flailing and stuff in the ring that gives MVP a slight distraction, and Slapjack rolls them up, and then I'm like, that was dumb. This is Mia Yim. I've been a fan of Mia Yim since she was Jade in TNA, and I'm like, this is what y'all got her doing? She's much more talented. I've seen the matches live in person that Mia Yim has had, and she's excellent. I am a big fan of hers, and this the shit you got her doing. Really? This the shit you got her doing. So at the commercial break, she brushes off like there was something wrong with her, and then Bobby Lashley and T-Bar are fighting, and they fight out to the outside, and then Bobby Lashley and T-Bar both get counted out. So now it's down to Cedric and Shelton Benjamin against Slapjack and Slapjack does get pinned by Bobby Lashley after a spear. So that happens first. So then it's now down to Shelton Benjamin and Cedric Alexander against Mustafa Ali and Mace. So Cedric Alexander does his little springboard insecurity to Mace and goes right into the pay dirt by Shelton Benjamin. So he gets pinned. He's eliminated. So now it's Mustafa Ali down to just one. Retribution gets two of the Hurt Business. Him and Cedric Alexander going at it. Cedric gives him a mean kick to the outside of the ring. Then Mustafa Ali gets a chair and hits Cedric right in the back to get him disqualified. So the Hurt Business wins the matchup, and Retribution, I was like, that was not a good look for Retribution at all. They gave up on this group already, and it's sad because when Retribution first came, it was like it brought up a question mark like this could be something really good, but it wasn't. And then they just kind of failed on that. Then they finally get the group together. They finally get something for Mustafa Ali to do after the hacker stuff. And then this is what your group is. Retribution means nothing now. And don't get me wrong, I love the Hurt Business. The Hurt Business should be the one that should be dominating. And honestly, they don't even need to be in a feud with Retribution. But I'm just saying, but if y'all going to try to take this group seriously, it's done. It's already in the water. I think they're already about to give up on it because the group is stupid. It's stupid. It meant nothing. It's not going to get nowhere. It's not getting over. Even with Mustafa Ali doing it, I think Vince don't even want to do it anymore. Because right now, they lost. They haven't won anything cleanly. They haven't won anything dirty. And like I said, why would you eliminate? That's the worst group ever. Why would you eliminate yourself? The shit they had me and Yim doing yesterday, clearly, after yesterday, I was like, this is clearly done. I'm done with this group. Drew McIntyre is out to go against The Miz. It's not for the way to bring briefcase in anything. Just to have a matchup. As Morrison tries to hit him with the briefcase. No, he attacks Morrison, gets a launching belly to belly on the outside and throws the Money in the Bank briefcase like squared it down the aisle. And then we get to Drew McIntyre coming and giving Miz a Claymore kick, and he wins the matchup. Points to Matthew McConaughey in the audience. So that was kind of cool. Backstage, we get the New Day just doing their New Day stuff as the Street Profits, and I like how they're making fun of the Street Profits and everything. Kobe Kings's doing a good job. Got the big fam headbands like Dawkins, so you already know the Street Profits going to do the same thing for the New Day come SmackDown. So I'm actually excited for that matchup. One thing about good Raw vs SmackDown matchups is you get to see some good matches they're doing right. So and then Asuka's there, so they go down the Survivor Series card. You got the New Day taking on the Street Profits, which is pretty good. You got Asuka taking on Sasha Banks, another good matchup. Then you have the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns going against Randy Orton. That would have been this matchup. Believe it or not, I can't believe I'm saying this. This matchup would have been better if it was Drew McIntyre. The way Drew McIntyre has been booked and has he kept the title and everything, that matchup with the face, count down to 3, 2, 1. McIntyre kicks out at 1 and everything would have been a better match to go up against the new Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. This is not WrestleMania 35 Roman Reigns and Drew McIntyre. This is completely evolved. This is the 2020s of Batista and Cena. Okay, that's what this is, and that's the match it needed to be. I never thought I would say I wanted to see a Roman Reigns versus McIntyre matchup when they switch roles and their roles are so much better. Tribal Chief going up against this dominant guy. I don't want to see Randy Orton. He's my fourth favorite wrestler of all time. Don't want to see Randy Orton against Roman Reigns. I don't. Not that version of Roman Reigns. By no means. No means. Then they go on and say that, and then the Hurt Business comes back there and says, hold on, don't forget that the CEO of the Hurt Business, Bobby Lashley, is going to go one-on-one with Sami Zayn. So we're renewing that rivalry of Sami Zayn and Bobby Lashley. But they guys are about the sisters this time. And they said also, they one shot them tag team titles and stuff like that. But Asuka come up there and said, no, cursing them out and everything like that. And say, you won't win because New Day rocks. They do the whole thing like that. And when Asuka was stepping up to him, I'm just like, look, y'all need a woman on y'all squad to go after that Raw Women's Championship. y'all need to take Naomi, because where's Naomi at? Because especially after the next thing coming up, I'm like, where's Naomi? She needs to go to the Hurt Business, ditch the glow stuff, make her heel, get that championship. I'm just saying, you can slow build to that. You can slow build to that and have Naomi win at WrestleMania. Just saying. Adam Pearce and what's the other guy's name is in the ring talking about they bring out Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax, and then Mandy Rose and Dana Brooks is having the loss. So this is Team Raw so far, and there's going to be a fatal 4-way match to determine who's going to get the final spot between Lacey Evans, Lana, Nikki Cross, and Peyton Royce. Whoo! There's no qualifying matches for the Raw women because it's spread so thin. I swore Naomi was drafted over to Raw. Don't see her. So that's what I'm saying. Hurt Business. I mean, y'all also got Reckoning. What's her? Is that her name? Oh, I'm sorry, Mia Yim. Y'all have her. So she's just one. She can't do women's matches neither. She can't be on the Survivor Series team. Compared to Lana. I'm like, come on. So fatal 4-way matchup. Nothing really much to go here. They do a Tower of Doom spot. Lana comes in, steals the pin off of Nikki Cross. Nikki Cross loses, and Lana wins the matchup. And then we're not done because after that, Nia Jax picks up Lana and Samoa drops her through the announce table for the 6th time. Okay. So Randy Orton's being interviewed about going a moment of bliss, talk about the Fiend, and he says, "I'm not scared of the Fiend." He wants to show his ugly face in moment bliss. That's fine. I have no problem with that. But I'll introduce him to the 3 most dangerous letters in sports entertainment: RKO. Next up, we're going back for a get ready for the last qualifying matchup between Sheamus and Matt Riddle. But Ali is also backstage and saying that Retribution is on a mission and not a team, and they are willing to sacrifice anything. We win when you suffer, and we will win because you decided to shut down. Okay, what the fuck are you talking about? Like that's how I really feel like. What are you really talking about? You ain't suffering from what? You're not really suffering from anything. Matt Riddle taking on Sheamus, best match of the card today. Best match on Raw. They had a really hard-hitting matchup, and then there was a knee that Sheamus hit on Matt Riddle, which I thought it was over, but it wasn't. Then Matt Riddle does a little twisting thing off the top rope and lands like full body on Sheamus and everything. But Sheamus does come out, hit a bro kick out of nowhere, and then Sheamus is now going with Keith Lee and AJ Styles onto Team Raw. So Team Raw is actually looking pretty dope right now. Big E has to lead Team SmackDown. If you really want to push Big E needs to lead Team SmackDown and win for Team SmackDown. That's what needs to happen, because you need to put Big E up in that upper echelon right now if you're gonna take him seriously. Now we're going for the moment of bliss as Randy Orton comes out, and I'm like, I don't understand why the moment of bliss thing is even happening, to be honest with you. But then Drew McIntyre comes out. And he's like, he's looking at Randy like he's ready for a fight. And then he comes right down, starts beating up, taking on Randy Orton. And then as he's about to give him a Claymore, the Fiend lights come out. And then they come back on. Randy Orton's outside the ring. And then Drew McIntyre staring him down, and he's like, damn it, the Fiend's behind me. So he decides which way is he going to go. So he goes down to Drew McIntyre. They go fight some more as the Fiend just stares on. And that's how Raw goes off. Raw gets a thumbs down from me this week. I've been, giving Raw thumbs up with credit where credit is due. But this one was sloppy, all over the place. We're doing the Raw vs. SmackDown thing again. We're trying to celebrate 30 years of The Undertaker. I hope they make it seem like a big ass show and do it justice, give it something on the line. But they're not, it looks like. And what's I think the placement is wrong. If the Fiend is not on the Survivor Series team, because he probably should be, but I doubt he'll work with anybody like that. Then he should probably be champion to go up against the Tribal Chief Roman Reigns. But Randy Orton shouldn't even be in this spot right now. Randy Orton should not be the champion to go up against the Tribal Chief. If they're doing the Raw vs. SmackDown today, I would have kept it on Drew McIntyre. I really would have. But that's my comment. Post your comments down below how you guys like Raw. Hit the like button if you guys enjoyed my review. Hit the subscribe button for more Raw WWE content right here on NC Studios. So once again, it's the NC place to be. Chill, show, and the Nerd Coalition is out.